Okay, you guys, so today I'm gonna debut a song that I actually just began. I have this unit here. It's called the HEADRUSH Flex Prime, and I had mentioned that I had sold a lot of music gear because I was going to buy a trailer again. And in the meantime, I said, well, what am I going to play now? So I have a lot of digital plugins on my computer. But I said, why can't I just plug in something and play? So I found this piece of hardware, and I freaking love it. This guy here. I have another channel called Damien's Headbanger Ministries, where it's supposed to be just about music, but for some reason, I don't know, I guess I just decided to do this video and upload it to this channel. So I guess the point is, well, to show you what I do most of the time in the van, so anyhow, this thing has a thing called a looper, and what it does is you record something and you have to try to get it right on time, and it'll loop over and over and over, and then you can play on top of it. I'm just learning all this, okay, so I'm not an expert at all this, but anyhow, so I came up with something that I thought was really cool, and so I hope you like it. I'm just gonna improvise. That's what all this is. I'm just improvising, but I think I know what I want this song to be about, and I'll do my best. Again, I just started to play these chords, this melody. So I believe it's in D minor or something. I don't know. I have to figure it out. And I believe there's two scales. So I'm just going to try to play along with it and also sing some lyrics that I think I'm going to want to write about. It's about my past. Down to the stars. One night he waits for the man. He said, come with me and I'll give you your dreams. For 20 years he drove him to the world, and he gave him all. yeah, so it's about, I think what I want to write about this is about my fall. And about when I pursued my heavy metal music career in Hollywood. And the last time that I was there was, is this thing recording? Yes, it is. The last time that I was there is I was 24 years old. I was a long-haired heavy metal, musician. And in the lyrics, if you heard it, it says something about someone drove up and he said, "I'll give you everything if you bow down to me." And it saddens me thinking about it because it wasn't about music. When I was invited to get into this car, and that night, this is a true story, by the way. That night, what had happened is that I had gotten in a confrontation with a female girlfriend of mine, and I ended up wandering in the streets at night in Hollywood at 24 years old, and I was met by a very, very attractive man in this beautiful black, huge Mercedes. It was a white male, a very, very handsome looking man. And I'm not saying it in a homosexual way, but when someone is attractive, a gentleman, and I was invited to get in the vehicle, and that night I believe is when I met the devil. Laugh at me, whatever you want, but I believe that's who it was, and that's when my life became turned around overnight. And that's when I was introduced to every sexual debauchery that you can imagine, along with endless methamphetamine, crack, and endless sex. And I made money that way. So what does that have to do with the van? A lot. What it did is that, man, I wish I could tell you, what really happened all those 20 some years. And I'm actually writing an autobiography, or I started to. I have a lot of different episodes, and anyway, so the whole music died when I met this man at 24 years old, and I pursued a whole different route of life, a tremendous 360-degree version of Damien Sabatin, my stage name, so moving forward 20 some years later, I left all of that world behind, and I ended up man, I wish I could tell you, and the reason I don't tell you is because I'm in Mission Bay, and you know, even though I don't know one freaking person here, seriously, I don't know nobody that's living in a van here or a motorhome or nothing. I don't know nobody. And it gets really depressing sometimes because there's nobody to talk to or to play music with. I even tried going back to Damien, but unfortunately that whole world is, the whole music scene, the whole metal scene, it's practically dead. There's nothing the same, nothing the same. Everybody's at home playing with their, almost all musicians now are playing at home with their, you know, with their little guitar pods and with their you know, DAW recording stuff. And you know, when I pursued the music back in the days, we busted our butts. You know, we met, we called up. There was no phones back then. There was no internet. There was no, you know, there was none of that. You literally had to go after it by foot and by phone and by communicating and by getting together and saying, oh, hey man, yeah, do you know this song? Or hey man, let's try this jam, you know, and you just improvise. It could be anything, you know. And you just follow along or improvise to something, a lead or something, guitar to it, and then you get to feel each other's music vibe, you know. And the last guy that I jammed with was an organist. He had a Hammond B3, and the guy and I were like, at least I felt, we were like a glove, because all I write about is just dark themes, you know. You know, things like that. You know, I never wrote happy music. It was all just dark doom and gloom. And I think it's because when I was, and I hope you have patience, you know, listening to me, but I think what happened, I don't know, but when I was like, oh man, I was the leader of a Pentecostal church band, worship band. It was just small. It was nothing, you know, big, but I was like the leader, okay? And then one day, you know, my downfall happened when, you know, I'm gonna open this door. I'm parked in Mission Bay, and it was getting a little bit cold. So I put the sweater or the hoodie on. So anyway, so what happened is that I was thinking, I remember I was like 16 years old, I think. And I remember saying things like, I want to do something more for God. And then all of a sudden, this crazy idea came up about starting a Christian band and traveling all over the United States, ministering with music, traveling in a trailer and pulling it with, I don't know, a van or a truck, I don't know. But it was supposed to be a mobile music ministry, just going all over the United States. And that's all we were going to do, the band, you know, when I found them. And I said, wow, man, I said, that was fantastic. I said, what a great idea. And then all of a sudden, man, the pastor, when I told him, ooh, man, it was like my heart was pulled out and stabbed. Because he goes, I said, Pastor, I said, guess what? I said, I think I found out what I want to do for the Lord. this is what I want to do for the Lord, for Jesus. What, brother, what? I said, I want to do this. Nah, brother. I don't think so, brother. No, I don't think, no. I'm like, what? Man, like I said, it was like the most painful, And I tell you what happened, how I think all of that gloomy music started is because, well, not just because of what happened, but I stopped following God. I didn't want to hear nothing about God or Jesus, nothing. I started cursing him. I started going into wanting to know about the dark side. I wanted to know about black magic. I wanted to know about witchcraft. I wanted to know about wizardry. I wanted to know about Satanism. And I started some of those things, not a whole lot. And then, so anyways, but I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. And all my music that I write about on my other channel is about apocalypse. It's all about apocalyptic eschatology, the coming of Christ. Okay, and it's all doom and gloom. About the coming of Christ, the end times, the revelation. And I have so many songs, man, so many little projects, bits and pieces that I haven't even accomplished, man, finished. So then that's when I started coming into when 2020 happened with COVID, that's when I began to immerse myself so much, because we were all locked up. I didn't know what to do. So that's when I started finding out about plugins and digital music, and I started to pick up my guitar. I've had this guitar for more than 20 years, I think. Well, actually going on longer, maybe 24, 25 years. And not 25 actually, maybe 20, I think. And it's like my number one guitar. I don't like the body shape, but at the time I had the money to buy it, and it's been with me ever since. I have others, but they're in the apartment. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think here. So anyway, so ever since that COVID happened is when I started to pick up the guitar again after 20 some years. Yeah, about almost, well, when COVID happened, when was it? 2020? So just think, from when I was 24 years old, I left it. My world was all about generating money, endless sex, and drugs. That's what it was all about. And I mean some chronic, serious addiction to all three: making money, sex, and the drugs. I didn't know about politics. I didn't watch news. I didn't watch CNN. Well, back then, I didn't watch none of that. None of that was in my world. None of it. Not a damn thing about politics, or who's president, or who's fighting what, or what is Iran doing, what is Israel doing, what is the the community doing? What are the LGBT pronouns doing now? Fighting for what? You know, I didn't follow nothing. My world was just completely about making money, having sex, and doing meth and crack. That's it. So this is why. So anyhow, so anyway, so right now, you know, I'm in Mission Bay. I dread going tomorrow. Well, I have to go back to the apartment because what I want to do is I have this case. It's a rack case. It's a really big one that I used to have ever since I was 24 years old, and it was filled with rack units, guitar rack units, and I've had it ever since. And I was going to sell it, but I said, you know what? I said, I wonder if I can put the remainder of my music equipment in there. Like I have a Roland electronic drum set. And in fact, I got 2 drum pads right here. You know, these drum pads, I brought them because I was hoping to play. All you got to do is connect them, you know, to the jack, and I have the brain, the computer brain, which is about the size of this, and there's 5 of these with cymbals and a hi-hat and a kick drum. But again, they're all at the apartment. I just brought 2 of these and the brain, and I said, you know what? I said, I wonder if I can fit all of that plus my, you know, well, this has its own case, and some other small music pieces of gear into that case, along with all these microphones that I have also, and cables, you know, my interface, maybe one of my laptops. I got 2 of them. I should have brought one with me. Everything's in the apartment, and I said, I wonder if I can fit it all in there and then ship them to wherever I'm going to move. And I said, wow, man, that's exciting. So anyway, so now I'm considering, I'm even considering going back to Hawaii. I'm thinking about it, because I keep thinking that the Yucatan Peninsula is going to be hot, man. I haven't been there in a long time. The last time I was there was 2013 when my father died. When I wanted to get sober, I left to Mérida, Progreso, Cancun. I was all over the place, and then I went back. I think once or twice to Cozumel to go scuba diving. You know, even though I was a drug addict, there were episodes where I had to get sober because I was so emaciated that my body was literally shutting down, and that's when I started to stuff myself with food and going jogging and my triathlon bike, and then all of a sudden I was a binger, in other words, an addict. and I would go on for months and months until you wear out and your body just shuts off, and then you start to recover, and then you get back to, you know, being productive and active, you know, and blah blah blah, but then all of a sudden you get those urges again. Anyways, I'm glad I don't have any of those urges anymore. But I believe I destroyed my mind a lot. And, but there's a lot more to it than just that. There's another episode of life that happened that I was living as a what? If you stick around, you'll find out, maybe. Eventually I will. But I don't want to disclose it right now because I don't know I mean, I just posted my van for sale. I don't know who's watching me now, you know. that somebody might say, you know, oh, there's that dude, man, that said he was a what? Oh, fuck him, man, let's go rob him. Or, I don't know, something, you know? I mean, all I'm really looking for is good people, you know? I'm not looking for drugs. I'm not looking for fentanyl users, all that crap. I'm looking for good people, man. Good people, you know? It'd be nice to play a game of chess with a couple beers. That'd be freaking nice. Anyhow, I was trying to get I was trying to I don't know, man. I guess I just wanted to share this because I don't know if you know. I don't know what a lot of people do in their vans. You know, it was like, what do they do, man? Like there were times when I was parked in the way on the other side, and there was all of these motorhomes and vans, and I'm like, what do all these people do, man, inside there? You know what? You know, I didn't hear music or people conversing or saying hi. No, but everybody was inside their freaking vehicles, and I'm like, what the fuck are they doing, man? Doesn't anybody want to say hello? You know, like open the sliding door and say, hello, is there anyone there? Anybody out there? I don't know. So, yeah, so, I mean... Bye.